All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the March 15th, 2022 Board of Education regular meeting at 7:05 p.m. Sarah, good evening. Can I have a roll call from you, please?
Mr. Berardi?
Here.
Mrs. Deck?
Here.
Mrs. Lala? Here. Mr. Mazzano?
Here.
Mr. Monson?
Here.
Mr. Palazzo?
Here.
Mr. Tribuzio?
Here.
Okay, thank you. A quorum has been established. Let's please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maria, you want to read the mission statement?
The mission of Norwich School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence in a nurturing environment.
Thank you much. Our celebration of success time is now, so if anybody has anything they want to celebrate.
I would like to celebrate. I'd like to first of all celebrate and congratulate Omar Yagmor. Please stand up. He has been named the 2022 Giles School Scotty Award recipient. So congratulations. He'll be attending on Monday, March 21st at West Leyden High School to be honored for his accomplishment. I would like to read at this time a brief description of what his teachers said about him. Omar is an exceptional school citizen who serves as a positive role model to those around him. Omar has a strong work ethic and excels in his academic and personal pursuits. Omar is not only passionate about his schoolwork and classroom activities, he consistently does his best to make each day enjoyable. Omar's passion and concern for those around him is immediately evident. He is aware of his strengths and sensitive to the needs of others. He treats his peers with dignity and respect and strives to help others. Omar is one of a kind and looks for all that is positive in life. So again, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming here and for everything you've done.
Omar, what grade are you in?
8th.
Congratulations, young man. That's great stuff.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
He does have an event after, so they'll be leaving shortly. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Jackie. Anybody else?
So I think it's going to be hard to follow up Omar there, but I would like to say that I had attended the grand opening of the Ross Dress for Less store near Harlem and Irving. And at the grand opening, Ross representatives, along with some partners from First Book, which is an organization dedicated to providing new books to students, or to children rather. They presented Lee School with a donation of $2,500 in the form of a gift certificate to the First Book Marketplace, which we plan to use to purchase books for the Lee School Library.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, certainly it's good to have our STEAM and STEM labs open and in use, and we again want to formally, I think, acknowledge the Norwich School Foundation for their donations, their hard work, and their efforts on behalf of our Giles students. It really is a nice room, and we really have some high hopes for what we can do in there in terms of the curriculum, and I think it's just going to be a tremendous addition for us.
Thank you, Ralph. Anyone else? Real quick, yeah, so let me add on to that. The board had the opportunity to take a tour through those rooms before the meeting here. And it's great, you know. The board in totality had a vision of what we wanted to see down there. NSF contributed and made that happen. People inside the building here, maintenance staff made that happen. So a lot of moving parts to get something like that in place. And we're happy, we're excited. And you know, what comes to my mind is there going to be something that's sent out to the community focusing these rooms, kind of showing them what we have and the finished product?
Yeah, so we're currently working on a presentation that we would like to share with the Norwich Schools Foundation, our community, and also the Board of Education.
Okay.
So it's a work in progress with our students and staff.
Awesome, great stuff. Rooms look great. Anyone else? All right. Thank everybody for their contributions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again for being
Excuse
here.
us, he has a practice,
Yeah, no
so we
problem.
have
Omar,
to
nice to
go.
meet you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.
Man. Good job.
Thank you,
Keep it up.
Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you. All right, moving on to our action item. I'm going to ask the board to consider the agenda as presented and or modified there is some discussion that I want the board to review as I say it. Line item 19A, under personnel, we're gonna remove the name Joseph Lentino. That specific name does not apply inside line item 19AF under personnel. So that's gonna be one modification. And if you flip over your agenda, on 19L as in Lincoln, we're gonna remove line item L, Lincoln. Other than that, I have no other discussion or modifications or anything like that. Anyone else?
Michelle, we want them to accept Joe's resignation for this tonight, correct?
Correct. That's,
So we will, in place of L, we will have a new L, and that would be to accept Joseph Lentino's letter of resignation.
Thank you, Ralph. Anyone else from the board have anything else on that? Or any other items? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as now modified, as stated.
Second.
Renzo, seconded by Chris. Sarah, roll call?
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Tribuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck? Yes. Mr. Pizzano?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. I'd like to welcome our visitors. Omar and his family just left. It was nice meeting him. Thank you guys for being here. A little bit of change of venue tonight, so brings us back a little bit. So thanks for being here. Correspondence,
We have none.
no, for tonight. Public participation, anything come in via email?
No.
Certified mail, nothing like that?
No.
Okay, excellent. I'll move on. FOIA request. The district did receive two FOIA requests. First one being dated February 28th of this year by Mr. Martin, requesting following data for the 2019, 2020, and 2020-21 school years for District 80 for both Giles and Lee School. The number of parents, guardians, pupil, or other educational rights holders who signed an agreement to transfer a student to an alternative school instead of proceeding to an expulsion hearing. FOIA request 1. FOIA request number 2 dated March 1st of this year by Mr. Novak, requesting the following for the following board members. Sam Palazzo, President, term 2019 through 2023. Frank Tribuzio, Vice President, term 2019 through 2023. Renzo Berardi, Secretary, term 2021 through 2023. Molly Deck, Board Member, term 2021 through 25. Maria Lala, Board Member, term 2021 through 2025. Lou Lozano, Board Member, term 2019 through 23. Christopher Monson, Board Member, term 2021 through 25, or any other elected leadership personnel. Electronic copy of public official certiorari bond required by Illinois under 15 Illinois compiled statutes 405/3 through chapter 15 paragraph 203. An electronic copy of the governing board of education blanket certiorari bond if your board requires the members to be bonded under a blanket bond. An electronic copy of your errors and omissions, or a certiorari liability insurance policy and the duty of care policy if applicable. Take a breath. An electronic copy of your school board general obligation bonds if applicable. An electronic copy of your general long-term bond for the school board if applicable. An electronic copy of your school board crime policy if applicable. An electronic copy of your risk management policy if applicable. An electronic copy of the following documents if applicable. Accord 125, Accord 126, 127, and 128. The document should indicate the policy number and the insured amount of the policy. The electronic copy of the certificate of liability if applicable. Public officials and or any other bonds pertaining to proof of liability and policies based on any and all losses of financial responsibility due to negligence or dishonesty. Any and all based on contract terms and conditions. An electronic copy of faithful performance bond if applicable. An electronic copy of fidelity bond if applicable. An electronic copy of public employee dishonesty policy if applicable. An electronic copy of public employee blanket bond if applicable. An electronic copy of a statutory bond if applicable. An an electronic copy of official bond if applicable, an electronic copy of power of attorney for the Sutri Bond Company, and an electronic copy of a blanket bond power of attorney for the Sutri Bond Company if applicable, and an electronic copy of your oath of office. Again, all that can be viewed on the district website, probably by tomorrow morning.
We did respond to those in a timely fashion. I'll just say that with regard to the second FOIA request, school districts all across the state got exactly the same FOIA request. So we are not alone. Not exactly sure what the point is, but I just wanted to make you aware we did meet the timeline, and with the extension for the second one, and we were not alone in receiving the second FOIA.
Okay, Mr. Grimm, thank you for adding that. Administrative, no presentation for this month. Administrative reports, I'm going to turn it over to interim superintendent, Mr. Ralph.
I only want to just update you very quickly this evening. We have received some phone calls from residents about the possibility of enrolling Ukrainian students in school if they end up here as they flee the situation in Ukraine. We have certainly indicated that we will do that. They are entitled to enroll in school here as they would be designated officially homeless under the McKinney-Vento federal statute. And so I don't know that we've had any show up this week, but I just wanted to make you aware we have had some phone calls inquiring about how that would happen if some of those children do end up here in Norwich. And did I say that correctly, Michelle?
Yeah, it was perfect.
We would certainly welcome those students, and we would do our absolute best to make them help them be as successful as possible. And the rest of my report will be throughout the rest of the meeting.
All right, Ralph, thank you.
Thank you.
Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Guzik.
Thank you. I have a couple of things on my report tonight. First, I would like to report on I have attended a couple of meetings at the SEEP Center regarding the topic of National Night Out, which is a Norwich Howard Heights community event, which is planned for August 2nd of 2022. National Night Out is a time which highlights relationships between neighbors and law enforcement communities. It's a great opportunity to bring the police and neighborhoods together for positive circumstances. Norwich District 80 Administration will be in attendance this evening on August 2nd to support the event, which will be held at Norwich Park this year. This is a fun family event and very good for our community. We started planning this 2 years ago, so we're finally now at the point of it happening, which is great. August 2nd, so please mark your calendars for that. It's going to be a wonderful evening, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Can I ask a question? Is this like when they play the movie at the park?
We don't have a movie planned right now, but
Okay.
there a lot of food, bouncy things for children, adult activities.
That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event.
Thank you.
Norwood Park Township is sponsoring a summer school program again this year. As you recall, they ran their program at the last 2 weeks of July last year. They'll be doing that again this year. Our summer school program is the month of June. This is a really nice opportunity for our families also to have some additional summer programming. The cost of the program is $100, but Norwood Park, if you are a Norwood Park resident, is paying $75 for each child. So the net cost would only be $25 for the 2 weeks. We do have, this is in cooperation with Penoyer and with Ridge. We've been meeting together and planning it. Ridgewood will help with some support. This is also held at Norwich Park. And I'd like to thank Norwood Park District and Norwood Park Township for their support. Last year we had about 100 District 80 students attend. And we do this year have some District 80 staff who will be teaching at it, which is the first time that we'll have staff teaching at it. So it's a nice program that is looking to grow. I wanted to share with the board that I've been invited to join Rotary. Yeah, and I have accepted the invitation.
It's a great organization.
It is. So this group meets every Tuesday with the focus of supporting and raising funds for our local community.
You met once, and weren't you nominated to be president-elect?
Yeah.
It's outstanding.
I'm kidding.
It's outstanding.
Kristen of Penoyer is president-elect. She just joked with me that 79 was this year, so 80 would be the following.
There you go.
Going in order.
There you go.
Kindness Day is set in Norwich for April 26th. Mr. Biecki and Dr. Raviola have been working with PTA on school events for the week leading up to Kindness Day and an event on Kindness Day. I'm going to refer to them on their report for more details about it. And finally, I'd just like an update report on the Leiden Norwood Athletic Conference. COVID mitigations. At this time, all mitigations have been removed except for optional masking, which includes on the bus. So all fans can attend all events from either side of home or away. And that's my report. Do you have any questions? Great, thank you.
I see Mr. Dorr is not here. Do we have a report from him? in any-
No, we do not.
Okay, all right. Building monthly reports, Dr. Raviola, Lee?
We'll start with a couple items, district-wide, one just being, remember we have the early release coming up on March 25th, where Giles will be dismissing at 1 o'clock p.m. and Lee at 1:10.
Spring break, it'll be Monday, March 28th through Friday, April 1st.
And coming back from spring break, we're planning for the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, IAR. That window will start April 4th and end April 14th.
We are currently, both Giles and Lee are working on our school improvement plans. Both Giles and Lee, we're excited that we're finishing up this extensive document and that we are excited that we're going to be able to share that at the April Board of Education meeting. So more information to come on this next month.
So at Lee, the first week of March, we were able to celebrate Student Appreciation Week. And as part of that, we also participated in the Respect campaign sponsored by the Illinois Special Olympics, which is designed to promote acceptance and respect for students of all abilities. Throughout the week, there were activities, including a Spirit Week, grade level trivia contests, games, activities, and daily school-wide prizes. And, surprises rather, not prizes. We celebrated our trimester 2 top Tigers last Friday with a little pizza party and some music, and it was a great time celebrating our students who have been modeling how to be respectful, responsible, and safe at Lee. On Friday, March 25th, we have a 4th grade versus staff basketball game planned with a special halftime show, which is the rock, paper, scissors tournament or challenge. And we're planning for 3rd and 4th grades to attend the basketball game. All classes will be able to view the halftime entertainment via live streaming, which we'll send out a link for during that time. As mentioned, after spring break, we have IAR testing, so we may have some, we will have some minor adjustments to our schedule for those 2 weeks, primarily for our 3rd and 4th grades, since they're the grades that will be taking that assessment at Lee. And we also have some upcoming events, some in partnership with the PTA. We have the Scholastic Book Fair coming to Lee next week. On Norwich Kindness Day, April 23rd, the PTA is sponsoring a Paint a Rock event, which will be outside in the, held outside in the Lee parking lot. There will also be the art show coming up on April 28th. We have a PTA-sponsored mother and son dodgeball event that is planned for May 6th. PTA-sponsored daddy-daughter dance, which we are currently still working out a date for, because the date that we had tentatively planned, we found that there was a conflict with some other things that are going on with some dance practices and competitions or something like that. But we're working on that. And then we also have the talent show coming May 19th. And have a tentative date for field day of June 1st with a rain date of June 6th. So we are full steam with all of our spring events coming up at Lee in the next couple months.
Okay, just like Lee, Giles will have a special schedule for IAR. We also, our 5th and 8th graders will be taking the ISA, which is the Illinois Science Assessment, and we'll have a special schedule for our 5th and 8th graders during that time frame also. We are excited. The March 19th will be the Tri-Band Festival at Ridgewood High School. This is a partnership between Ridgewood High School, Union Ridge, and Giles. The event will take place from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and the students will be taught by a guest college professor and perform a concert at 12:30. So if you're available on March 19th, come on out and enjoy some music from our local artists. Monday, March 21st is the boys volleyball tryouts from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. here at Giles School. Wednesday, March 23rd is the girls soccer tryouts, and that is from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. We will be hosting a Spirit Week coming up March 21st through March 25th in preparation for our upcoming spring break. On Thursday, March 24th, we will resume in-school assemblies and kick off with an all-time favorite, Rock, Paper, Scissors Challenge that is inspired by the NCAA March Madness Tournament. That is a favorite here at Giles. We are also working on a week-long celebration from April 18th through the 22nd of kindness to go along with the village's Kindness Day, as Dr. Aviola said, which is on Saturday, April 23rd. Just to give you a little glimpse, we do have the police and fire coming out. More information will be coming out for that. So that'll be exciting for our students to see all the police and fire here. And that'll take place at Giles as well. Trivia night will be held here at Giles School, and that'll be hosted by the faculty and staff. That'll be on Thursday, April 21st in the Giles Gym from 6 to 7:30. A flyer will be released soon to the community for this event. The PTA 8th grade committee is working hard on planning end of the year celebrations for our 8th grade students. Below are some important dates I have. Wednesday, May 25th is the 8th grade field trip. Thursday, May 26th is the 8th grade dance here at Giles. Thursday, June 2nd is the graduation. That'll take place at Ridgewood High School. Once again, outdoors is the plan. And then PTA will be doing a fun day at Giles on the 25th for our 5th through 7th graders. So a lot of stuff going on the months of March, April, and May here at Giles.
Anything from the board?
Just very excited to hear that the talent show is back. I really am. No, it was. I'll let you know that. Very excited.
You're trying out.
Yes.
Trying out.
I think I'm a little past my prime, but maybe I'll get my daughter to do it. I don't know. I mean, other kids can come out and show their talents besides playing sports. There's got to be other stuff besides playing sports, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Raviola, Mr. Getty, thank you both. Mrs. Guzik, staffing report?
Yep, we just have a couple of resignations that we will be looking at accepting in action items today. 2 new retirements and a couple of new paraprofessional positions that we're asking the board to hire. These are not new positions, they're replacing of people who are resigning.
Board, any questions?
Thank you.
Discipline reports, Mrs. Mizell, Lee School.
Yes, I have one suspension to report. The suspension was in violation of board policy 7:197, disobeying rules of student conduct or directives from staff members or school officials. Good report for today.
Thank you. Mrs. Aarons, Giles.
I have 12 suspensions to report. They are in violation of board policy 47921 for reading, using or possessing an electronic paging device, using a cellular telephone, video recording device, personal digital assistant, or other electronic device in any manner that disrupts the educational environment or violates the rights of others, including using the device to take photographs in locker rooms or bathrooms, cheat, or otherwise violate student conduct rules. Prohibited conduct specifically includes, without limitation, creating, sending, sharing, viewing, receiving, or possessing an indecent visual depiction of oneself or another person through the use of a computer, electronic communication device, or cellular telephone. Unless otherwise banned under this policy or by the building principal, all electronic devices must be kept powered off and out of sight during the regular school day. Unless the supervising teacher grants permission, use of devices provided in a student's IEP, it is used during the student's lunch period, or it is needed in an emergency that threatens the safety of students, staff, or other individuals. Board Policy 7, reading disobeying rules of student conduct directives from staff or members or school officials. Example of disobeying staff directives include refusing a district staff member's request to stop, present school identification, or submit to a search. Policy 9, rating engaging in hazing or any kind of bullying or aggressive behavior that does physical or psychological harm to a staff person or another student, or urging other students to engage in such conduct. Prohibited conduct specifically includes, without limitation, any use of violence, intimidation, force, noise, coercion, threats, stalking, harassment, sexual harassment, public humiliation, theft or destruction of property, retaliation, hazing, bullying using a school computer or a school computer network, or other comparable conduct. In Board Policy 21, reading engaging in any kind of activity on or off campus that interferes with, disrupts, or adversely affects the school environment, school operations, or an educational function, including but not limited to conduct that may be reasonably be considered to A, be a threat or an attempt intimidation of a staff member, or B, endanger the health or safeties of students, staff, or school property.
Board?
Busy month.
Busy month, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. Moving on to board committees. Board policy development, as it's indicated on the agenda tonight, there will be 14 board policy updates based on our second reading. So we can reference those on the agenda. Building and grounds.
I have nothing to really report aside from about 3 weeks ago, there was a committee meeting just to review what is in our board packet of facilities plans, how it's getting paid for, time frame, and it looks good to me, the meeting and what I see here, moving along, addressing things. Good building and grounds team between Pat Rossi and Derek, and plans in general are in the right direction.
Okay.
Sure.
Just off the top, the STEM lab was open today. Very excited about that as well. I mean, there's when we first came, we saw another school and we saw their STEM lab, and it was something we figured we need really bad. And I think that's going to really take us to another level. I mean, just seeing the things that they're planning on doing already it's exciting. We didn't have these opportunities, and I'm just grateful that we do now. NSF was wonderful. Without NSF, I don't know.
Yeah, just tag on to that. I think 5 years ago, when District 80 was at its financial, almost at its worst, and parents were getting stirred up and realizing just how difficult the situation was, how some parts of the building were. And one of the things that really upset my wife and I was what passed as science lab. So to see that finally come to fruition and fall is going to be a big deal. And it's you can fix a roof and you can fix other things that are very structural or very much needed, but to see something finally come to fruition that affects education is a big deal. So thrilled to see it.
Great job all the way around. Anyone else? All right, thanks, Frank. Lou, your input? Communications.
No update.
Finance.
No update.
Negotiations. As it was posted, there was a special meeting tonight where we went into closed session to start some preliminary discussions on the district's end, the board's end, the administrative end, in regards to negotiations. Tomorrow, we have a scheduled training for interest-based bargaining, which is scheduled from 4 to 10 p.m. We will be joined by representatives of NEAT tomorrow as well. So we are in a negotiating year, and we're getting that ball rolling. And I will keep the board posted. We will keep the board posted and the community posted when appropriate. Education, parent-teacher advisory, and behavioral intervention, those are as needed. I don't have any information or any knowledge that anybody's met on those, so we'll move to Norwich Park.
Just want to say that we're excited to see that the after-school programs are up and running. I know that it's part of our discussion item to get more details, so I'm going to save it for that, for administrators to touch on that. But one thing I would like is possibly in the next, give it about 3 months or so, meet with Norwich Park again, just to kind of get some feedback on how they feel the program is running, as well on our end. And I would like to start those discussions with the ESSER money, when that does run out, what the programs will look like as a fee, so we can start looking at that as well. But that's all for now.
So are you thinking May, June, you'd like to?
Well, in regards to the Giles, their programs, I like to get those up and running, so we, what is the
That's
target
in their
date?
next 6 weeks. So
Okay.
they'll be sending that out in about 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, so I would wait.
Till that's up and running?
Yeah, up and running, so we can get a full gauge on both programs, and like I said, just most importantly, when the ESSER money runs out at some point, what those programs will look like.
Sounds good, thank you.
Board, any questions, comments for Norwich Park? Thank you. All right, so moving on to consent agenda, I'd ask the board to consider the approval of the consent agenda tonight. Any discussion? I will then ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. My motion. Louis, seconded by Frank. Roll call, Sarah.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
That motion carries. Moving on to our action items. I'd ask the board to consider the approval and adoption of the following board policy updates on second reading. Board has access to these 14 policies in your book. In transparency, they're also listed on the agenda for your reference. Any discussion? I'll ask the board for a motion to approve said 14 policy updates based on second reading.
Motion. Second.
Maria, second by Molly. Roll call, please, sir.
Mrs. Lala? Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, so what you've done is the real heavy lifting of that huge press policy packet 108. You all got that big notebook from Sarah, I think maybe in November or December. But there are still in my mind, the two most critical, perhaps controversial policies to deal with, and I'm going to bring those to you next month. And the one deals with the grooming issue, for lack of a better term, and the other are some of the curriculum updates that are being reported on as a result of legislation from a year ago. So just know that I'm going to have those on as a discussion item. We'll send those out to you in advance. We're going to ask you some directed questions, and hopefully you'll be able to give us some answers, or at least get us to consensus on how you want to proceed. And if we can get that wrapped up next month, then we would bring those back to you in May for approval. And if we can't conclude that conversation, then we'll just push it back until you're comfortable approving those in some form or fashion. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Rob. I'd ask the board to consider the approval of the contract for the Kaczynowski School of Polish Culture. Any discussion? I would then ask for a motion to approve the contract for the Kaczynowski School of Polish Culture. Louis, Maria, roll call, please.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'd ask the board to consider the approval of the summer school and the extended school year 2022 program and its budget. Discussion. I'll ask for a motion to approve the summer school and extended school year program and its budget.
Motion.
Second.
Molly, second by Frank. Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Rosanna?
Yep.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Bird?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. I ask the board to consider the approval of the preschool and kindergarten fees. Any discussion? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve the preschool and kindergarten fees.
Motion.
Frank and Maria? Sarah, roll call?
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Okay.
Mr. Rosanna?
Yes.
Mr. Bird?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to our discussion items, Mr. Grimm.
Okay, thank you. The first item is 16A, the follow-up to the March 7th District Strategic Planning Session. I've provided you with kind of an update in the form of a memo, kind of outlining what I think are the next steps. First, I want to thank you all for participating. We got a lot out of that almost 4-hour working session. We identified 4 key areas. I've kind of summarized those as finances, facilities, a review of half versus all-day kindergarten, and providing more time to collaborate for staff. We formed 4 groups. We allowed people to self-select into those groups. I think the next steps that I've talked with Mrs. Guzik about is to schedule meetings with those groups, maybe 1 meeting if we can get it done, but maybe no more than 2, to really talk about what are the action steps that we really want to look at to get at the core of what is in those 4 broad areas. Each group would then be asked to create an appropriate SMART goal with the sub-goals or action steps. And I'm suggesting that this work perhaps be finished prior to the May 17th board meeting, so that you could approve those goals and the action steps at the May board meeting. Then to really wrap this up, the process would be, how are you going to monitor and evaluate and or revise those goals on a regular and ongoing basis? And I think Mrs. Guzik has a plan on how she would like to do that with you, and she'll be prepared to talk to you about that at that time. So I just really wanted to stress to you that this is not a one and done. This is hopefully an ongoing process of evaluation and monitoring and revising and looking at the key things that need to be focused on as you go forward. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone?
So Rob, so when we broke up into 4 subgroups, how then do you bring back and determine the ongoing next step of dialogue?
So what I've proposed is we ask those folks to meet a couple more times, and through a series of questions, we'll try and get at what are really the main issues. What are the main issues under facilities? Michelle has worked on a 5-year facility capital projects plan. So I think that would be part of that conversation, for example. And to me, the question is there any system perhaps that we don't have on that list that we should put on that list? And so it's through that kind of back and forth question and answer that we really get at, all right, what are the next steps? That's really what we're after. This is a continuous model. So the way I've worked this in the past, I always want the board, the administrative team, the staff to know that there are goals out there that we're always working on. It's not a one and done, because our needs are going to continue to be there, and in some cases they're going to continue to build up if we don't address them. So this will be a system that the administration and the board kind of develops as they go through it. I've tried to give Michelle and you kind of that blueprint, but it'll be what you want it to be and how you decide to use it going forward.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Juzik is going to take the lead.
Mr. Sellers and Mr. Rossi would like to go out for bid specs on a new garbage program for the next year. They're gonna bring that to you maybe next month, but they might wanna do that in May. They feel that we can get a more competitive bid for the services that we currently are receiving.
Trash removal.
We have a 1-year contract with Groot currently, so they wanna look at their options at the end of this 1-year contract. So we'll have that for you in April, but it might be May.
So
That would be Mrs. Juzik also.
Sure. So as Mr. Trabuzio was mentioning, the Buildings and Grounds Committee met, I believe it was March 1st in the evening, and reviewed our upcoming projects, things that we've completed. We just kind of took a whole look at the whole Buildings and Grounds, and I put that meeting into a presentation that you have in your board book tonight. Started off with just some general data about the buildings. That was interesting, and when they were built and the additions that were added onto them. And then when I went into the funding sources that are available, I know the board has an interest of always knowing where the funding is coming from when we're working on projects. So I outlined for you the 4 different areas, grants and donations being an area that we talk about a lot lately with the state maintenance grant, ESSER funds, the Norwood School Foundation, Norwood Park Township, PTA, all those different funding sources. Then there's funding from site and construction, the bond proceeds that we went out to bond for last year, you recall. And site and construction with capital outlay, and then finally life safety funds. So then I took each one of those funds and I put them into we have a whole 1 page on this, but I took each fund and put them into a separate page for you so you can see some of the things that we have completed and then the things that we are currently working on in each of the different areas. For example, site construction and the bond we haven't completed that air conditioning unit in the computer room, which is something that we've started, we just haven't completed it, and we're working on our frequency drive replacements and the HVAC repair, which they're currently working on right now. As you are aware, we accepted a bid in February for the asbestos abatement, which now is the last part of our asbestos abatement. This time we're looking at the plumbing at Lee and Giles, and we're starting that in July of this summer. Should be right after summer school ends. July 1st, we'll be starting the asbestos in both buildings. We have a planning meeting for that, I believe it's next week one day, with Park District so that we can make sure that we are, if we need to move them or whatever we need to do to keep everyone safe during that project. And that is all being, that is all under the site construction bond proceeds. Moving forward, if we look at capital site and construction fund for capital outlay, we have some things we've completed, like the secure entrance at Lee, which was through a donation from NSF. The STEM labs, while NSF did donate the materials, which we are so appreciative of, we did spend some money out of capital outlay for the construction in the room. The floors, the different things that we had to do to get the rooms ready. The wall between 211 and 213 was completed. The miscellaneous exterior repairs were completed. The seal coating was completed. The next few things that we have on this list, one of them in fact is our next discussion item D tonight, kind of all stem off of each other. I am in discussion item D. Last month I presented you some information about preschool. One area of preschool I would like the board to consider is allowing us to get some additional information on taking the old learning center area at Lee School and turning that into a preschool area. I don't know the cost of that at this point, but that is something that we're asking the board next month to allow us to work with STR to consider turning that area over into a preschool. That would be what's on the list is Lee Preschool Phase 1, which would move the preschool over to that area with a secure entrance for the preschool. Perhaps look at a preschool appropriate age playground, since currently right now we do not have a playground, and this would be an ADA accessible playground. The area that we would be, we are using the preschool right now, we would move the administrative offices to, and also the nurse's station, which is also on that list, and then create ADA bathrooms where the nurse is currently right now. I know I just said a lot, but that's one of the areas that we're looking at really improving at Lee School. And I can go more into the detail about the preschool area in the next discussion item. We're in the pre-planning stages for that. In life safety, we have completed the fire alarm modifications, the electronic sign, which was donated from Norwood Park Township. And we are right now looking at the plumbing replacement. So once we remove all the asbestos, we will then be turning over the old pipes to copper piping. So we're keeping an eye on the price of copper and looking at sectioning that off in each building and doing one section at a time for the turnover of the pipes, which is quite costly, but it is something that is needed in both buildings. Actually, at Giles, it's interesting, some of it's been done already, like this main part of the building, which is the original part of the building you would think would be the oldest, but actually has been done already, along with the area we were just in earlier for the STEM lab. So that is part of our major plumbing replacement. We're looking at phase 2 on the chillers. Right now, the chillers are holding fine. And we, as you recall, we replaced the chillers earlier this year. One chiller at Giles and one chiller at Lee. This would be additional chillers, miscellaneous life safety planning that has to take place along with the additional chillers. Moving forward, we have taken advantage of the school maintenance grant for 2 years. In FY20, you would call the Doors Project. The maintenance grant is a 50-50 grant, so we put in $50,000 and the state puts in $50,000. We have a little bit of that money from 2020 that we're still spending right now, $14,000 that is left, that Mr. Rossi and Mr. Sellers have some plans for. They've been working with STR on the final doors. And most of those doors were listed on our life safety study. In addition, we applied for the FY22 where we put the chillers. So we were able to get a $50,000 match on the chillers that we put in as well. And that money actually just came in from the state, the reimbursement. We also have a series of miscellaneous projects that we are looking at. One of them is the cafeteria ceiling at Lee School. The project that Mr. Rossi is exploring right now is taking down the ceiling, which if you have been down there, it's very low. So his idea of taking down the ceiling and then spraying the ceiling white, maybe putting some paint on it just to liven up that space. It's very dark and dingy right now, which will just update it. We are exploring a secure entrance and gates over here at Giles. So the area that where the people come in, we were looking at gates so that the separation of the students and any visitors that are coming in, that is one of the things we're exploring. That is a possible donation at this point. We're having conversations about those gates being donated. The Giles Media Center, which we're in right now, which is one of the areas that was identified in the ESSER grants. And that's one area that Mr. Biecki and I and Mr. Rossi are working on what we want the space to be, what kind of, what we're going to serve the students with here, and what kind of curriculum is going to match that. The administrative office upgrade at Giles, we have a new assistant principal, as you know, and her office does not allow her to have any children in the space. Feel free to take a look at that. Also, there are 4 doorways in her office where she can get into the conference room twice or into Mr. Biecki's office or the actual door. So we're looking at some soundproofing and we're just updating that room a bit and closing off all those doors. Currently, right now, if you're in the Lee office, you can hear all her conversations, which is not confidential. And and this has been on our list for a long time, exploring ideas of a cafeteria and bathrooms in the cafeteria at Lee School. Again, another safety issue. If a student, picture a 5-year-old going to the bathroom at Lee School, they are coming up the stairs, down the hall, turn around the corner, past the nurse, down the stairs to the bathrooms on the right. So we're exploring the idea of putting some bathrooms down there and then some limestone panels at Lee that need to be repaired. So our next steps, we're looking at our priority areas for 22-23 and creating goals and action steps. Part of that, as Mr. Grimm was talking about, the strategic plan meeting that we had the other night. We'll be creating SMART goals from that, SMART goals, action steps. And just want to thank the Buildings and Grounds Committee. I think we've had this year 2 really productive meetings, and we want to continue to look at our facilities and update them or keep our students as safe as we possibly can. Any questions from the board?
That's a no-brainer. Thanks, Michelle.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, you're gonna go more into the.
I am.
All right.
So what we are asking the board is for next month is to allow us to work with STR to run some specs on what it would cost to build a preschool area in the old learning center area. Currently, right now, has some use. There's some groups meeting in there, indoor recesses meeting in there when the students are inside. But we want to use that room to expand our preschool program. Currently, right now, last year we had 2 sections. This year we have 4 sections. We would like to be able to expand that to additional sections of preschool. Typically, we have 100 kindergarten students every year, which would make one think that there are 200 3- and 4-year-olds out there in the district that we would like to start in earlier and have relationships with families earlier and also just build up our own students earlier. So I would like next month to ask the board to allow us to have conversations with STR to conduct a preliminary analysis of the old learning center and what it would take to turn that into classrooms.
Just one thing that, when it got discussed at the committee meeting, I asked what would the park district feel about this, and it's generally agreed that their program is different. It's less children, and the success of the preschool for these last 2 years, I personally feel is warranted a bigger plan for preschool. But I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I have been in communication with the Park District about us opening up and expanding the preschool. They are in full support of that. We have a great relationship with the Park District currently right now. And Anne-Marie and I meet often and have a lot of conversations, but they are fully in support of us growing our program. They would really like to, which we'll talk a little bit about, but they would really like to expand their opportunities for after school enrichment. It's like that's where they would like their focus to.
Implying that the park and preschool is, they have to focus less on.
Correct.
Okay. Park district.
Keep going.
Yeah, Michelle?
Yeah.
All right.
So I want to expand on what Mr. Berardi said earlier during the Norwich Park Committee section. We are so excited about the program that we have started, the enrichment program. We have 140 students, Lee students that are involved 4 days a week, which we're so happy about. And we are looking to expand that. Their next 6-week session will include classes at Giles as well, and a couple of additional classes at Lee that were weather pending. So some outdoor things that we're waiting for nice weather for. The Park District, Anne Marie Flaherty and Evan Clayton and I've worked putting this program together. Evan really did all the grunt work with it and created the classes. They are monitoring it. We do have a little bit of supervision right at 3:05 when the students get out before the class, before their staff gets here to take over. But then the kids ate a snack. They have a little downtime before their classes start at 3:30, and then they end at 4:30, which have been very successful. And we're just really excited about the program and looking at the possibility of growing that, looking at additional funding sources after ESSER money or even before ESSER money is out, and trying to keep a program that is affordable for everyone, for our families. We're really excited. 140 families signed up pretty quickly. They got it together within the week. And it's a pretty nice program. Robotics classes, there is an interesting class that just go on with what you were saying, Mr. Mazzano. They have this class called Triple Threat that is acting, singing, and dancing. And it filled up quickly as the gym rats class did. So I'm happy that we're able to offer different opportunities for our students.
Me too.
Does the board have any questions about the enrichment program? Thank you. The last item this evening, should I just keep going?
Might as well.
The last item on the discussion item tonight is the Infinitec contract. Infinitec is where the teachers complete compliance for state and federal guidelines, DCFS classes, Aaron's Law, all the things that teachers need to be in compliance with every year. Also have a variety of professional development opportunities that we have had teachers and paraprofessionals take advantage of. So this is just their yearly contract renewal, which we will bring to you next month as an action item. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for those reports. Any board comments? Okay, we are going to go into closed session tonight, so I ask the board to consider a motion to adjourn a closed session to discuss the employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and review of closed session minutes. Questions, comments, concerns, any discussion? Okay, I'll ask for that motion to adjourn a closed session to discuss the employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and also to review closed session minutes.
Motion.
Chris, right? Roll call, sir?
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mr. Mazzano? Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Note the time, 8:03, we're out of closed session. We'll take a little bit of a break. 8:15 is reasonable, I think. Start closed session 8:15.
Nice to see.
We're back in open session at 9:01.
You sure it's not 8:58?
We got 9:01 here.
Come on.
All right. Personnel action items. Consider the approval of the resolution for non-renewal and dismissal of first through third year probationary teachers for Norwood School District 80. Laura Bartuch, Joseph, no, I'm sorry, we're taking it out. Anna Osaka. Any discussion? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve the resolution for non-renewal and dismissal of first through third year probationary teachers for Norwood School District 80. Laura Bartuch, Anna Osaka.
Motion.
Second.
Louis, Frank. Sarah Rocco?
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala? Yes. Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes. That motion carries. Ask the board to consider accepting the letter of resignation from Rocco Casenti, special ed paraprofessional at Giles School. Discussion? I'll ask for a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Rocco Pacenti, special ed paraprofessional at Giles School.
Motion.
Chris, Maria, roll call.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes,
Motion carries. I ask the board to consider the approval of the employment of Darlene Flores. Thank you, sir. District Special Ed Paraprofessional. Discussion. I need a motion to approve the employment of Darlene Flores, District Special Ed Paraprofessional.
Motion. Second.
Chris, Lou, roll call please.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Motion carries. Consider accepting the letter of resignation from Colleen Ballinger, Special Ed Paraprofessional at Lee School. Discussion. Okay, I'll ask for the motion to accept the letter of resignation from Colleen Ballinger, Special Ed Paraprofessional at Lee School.
Motion.
Second.
Chris, Maria, roll call, sir.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. I ask the board to consider accepting the revised letter of retirement from James Kushka, fifth grade math teacher at Giles School, effective at the end of his 2022 school year. Discussion. I'll ask for that motion to accept the revised letter of retirement from James Grushka, fifth grade math at Giles School, effective at the end of the 2021-2022 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Chris, Maria, roll call.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes. Motion carries. Consider accepting the revised letter of retirement from Mary Mostyn, fifth grade ELA teacher at Giles School, effective at the end of the 2021-2022 school year. Discussion. Ask for a motion to accept the revised letter of retirement from Mary Mostyn, fifth grade ELA Giles School teacher, effective at the end of the 2021-2022 school year.
Motion. Second.
Chris, Frank, roll call please.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Okay, motion carries. Consider accepting the letter of resignation from Loredana Puccio, Special Ed Paraprofessional at Lee School. Discussion. I'll ask for a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Loredana Puccio, Special Ed Paraprofessional at Lee School.
Motion.
Yeah, Maria and Chris. Roll call.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Motion carries. Consider the approval for the 2022 through 2023 staffing plan. Discussion. I'll ask for the motion to approve the 2022 through 2023 staffing plan.
Motion.
Holly, Maria, roll call.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yep.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Motion carries. Consider the approval of the employment of Renata Wawaka, District Special Ed Paraprofessional. Discussion. I'll ask for a motion to approve the employment of Renata Wawaka, District Special Ed Paraprofessional.
Motion. Second.
Chris, Lou, roll call please.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yep.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes. Motion carries. Consider accepting the letter of resignation from Kelly Trump, a special ed teacher at Lee School. Discussion. Ask for a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Kelly Trump, a special ed teacher at Lee School.
Motion.
Second.
Chris, Maria. Roll call please.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
yes,
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Motion carries. Consider accepting a letter of resignation from Londa Orenstein, special ed teacher at Giles School. Discussion. I'll ask for a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Londa Orenstein, special ed teacher at Giles School.
Motion.
Second.
Molly, Chris, roll call.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mr. Rosanna?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes. Motion carries. Consider accepting the letter of resignation from Joseph Lentino, 8th grade science teacher at Giles School. Discussion. Ask for a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Joseph Lentino, 8th grade science teacher at Giles School.
Motion. Motion.
Louis, Chris, roll call.
Mr. Mazzano?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Mr. Palazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Board meeting reflections.
Whoa, look at that, on the dot.
All right.
On the dot.
Anybody need more time to reflect?
Take a little longer.
You reflected long enough? Has everyone reflected long enough? Frank is still reflecting. Oh, that's it.
Reflect.
All right.
He's reflecting.
Actually, let me see mine.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:09 p.m.
Oh! Second.
Frank, Lou,
Boom.
anyone, all in favor?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody opposed? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your time.